Did you just get yourself the Mavic 4 Pro, but you're overwhelmed with all the different settings, all the different things you can use this drone for? You're not alone. That's why I've made this comprehensive guide. I've got 57 tips and settings for the newly released Mavic 4 Pro. If you're new around these parts, my name is Dan Davis and I'm the creative director here on DansTube.TV, which is Australia's #1 drone YouTube channel. And I can't wait to show you guys all of these different tips and settings for the newly released Mavic 4 Pro. I've broken this video down into different categories and different menus just to make it easier for you to follow along. There will be timestamps at the bottom of the video, so make sure to check those out. But starting off, we've got the general tips. And for tip number 1, which is one of my favorites, it's just how easy it is to power on the device. So straight when you fold the screen like that, it will power that on. And straight when I fold out the drone, it will also power on the drone, like so. So it's that much easier to get up in the sky. As you can see, it's powering on. I can pack down my bag and I'm ready to fly straight away. Tip number 2, you have to have the drone powered down, but in the top right corner, you'll see it says DJI Simulator. So straight when you tap on that, it will actually launch into the simulator, which you can see in the background here. I've done a full standalone video on the simulator, but they've actually added more to it. So we've now got, firstly, we had the Mavic 4 Pro, and now we've actually got the Air 3S. But on top of that, we've got a bunch of new maps here. And you can see we've even got like Stonehenge, and this is a 3D reconstruction. And you can see when you tap on it, who actually published it. So down here, we can see Jamie James' original work. I can tap into it and it will launch us in to Stonehenge, which is insane. So we can move our little character around, place the aircraft, and then from here, take off. I can fly my drone around Stonehenge, which is very, very cool. So this is a great way to practice. There's a bunch of different features in here. So waypoints are coming soon. You can see you've got the map render here just to see what's going on. That actually looks like a Google satellite kind of image there, which is very cool. There's a bunch of other options through the settings. You can adjust like obstacle avoidance and return to home and all that good stuff. It is great, does work very well, quite responsive, and it even has crash physics. So if I just disable this, it's got a full crash physics for the drone and a full render of the drone. So here's the Air 3S that you can see. Very realistic in its render here as it's flying. And I find it feels quite realistic to the actual flight experience as well. So I have not been upset at all with that. The crash physics obviously look a little bit janky, but yeah, really great way to practice. And there's a lot of different areas that you can utilize this in, a lot of different maps to play around with now, which is very cool to see. And I've been extremely impressed with the DJI Simulator. For tip number 3, I'm going to showcase the Academy, which is in the top right corner. So you can tap on that, and it does recommend going into portrait mode. So with the new controller, we can flip it into portrait mode like this. You can see there's one of my videos there, DansTube.TV. Really cool to see that there. And so this is just a bunch of different tutorials, tips, insights, all sorts of things just to showcase how to use different devices. So you can tap in the top left there to choose the drone that you want. Obviously all the drones are here, and you can go through even back to the Spark, and you can see all the relevant videos there. There's all sorts of like first use, propeller and propeller guards, infinity gimbal, all sorts of helpful tips in there. And then if you go back, you can then see there's the search option in the top left corner. So you can tap on that. And this is a slightly different interface. For this one here, it's actually just showcasing the Mavic 4 Pro a little bit more. So I can click on that one, Mavic 4 Pro from beginner to mastery. And you can see it breaks it down into different courses with different lessons. So a great way to learn more about the specific drone that you have, as well as maybe other drones that you're considering. So again, go into Academy here, tap on the top left, and then there's a bunch of different drones. So you can choose one that you're interested in. Let's say, for example, the Mini 4K, great drone, great beginner drone. It will then, when it loads in, give us a bunch of different tutorials, tips, guides, all sorts of things in here, so we can learn a little bit more about the drone. So for tip number 4, we've got the no fly spots or no fly zones. So where you can see it says before you fly, 3 fly spots nearby, recommended zone. So if I tap on that, it will actually load into the map of where I'm located right now. I can zoom out a little bit. I can see some key points of interest around me. And again, this is a very handy interface in general. But then as you see, I zoom out, it will start showing me the areas I can't fly. So there's the airport there that I can't fly. Here's another airport here. And it shows you the path of, you know, departure and landing as well. So really, really cool stuff here. Very easy to see at a glance. And I would recommend coming in here as well as having like accompanying apps to know, you know, where it's safe to fly and whatnot. But this is just a great at a glance menu to go into. Tip number 5 is the quick transfer, which you see just below the previous tip. If you tap on that, it will walk you through the process of how to transfer to your phone. For me, I'm using the RC Pro 2. So I, in my situation, will want to transfer it to my iPhone. You can see there's the fly share option there and quick transfer. If I click into that, works nice and easily. Open DJI Fly on your phone, power on aircraft, and make sure motors are not started. So it talks you through the process, connects it up with your phone, and it's really easy to do from there. Tip number 6, and my last tip for the general tips, this is the Create feature, which is actually an inbuilt editor, which is so crazy to see. So you tap on Create in the bottom corner. I can flip my screen like so. There's a bunch of different recommended options here, but in this instance, let's dump in a video that I recorded not long ago. So I can tap on it, press next, and it will bring it into a full editor. So you can see I can scrub through it. I can add a title at the beginning if I wanted to, nice and easily. You know, you can download all these different options here and change the text. It even brings in some music, which is pretty cool. And then if I go back, there's a bunch of options for speed. I've got some volume options, there's some music options, filters. Literally, it's a full-blown editor. You can put stickers in there, all sorts of moving parts. We can put the DJI Mavic 4 Pro in. Like, it really is just such an easy editor to use. And so far, I'm really impressed with how easy it is to use on the new RC Pro 2 as well. That touchscreen is very responsive. You can see I can change the export quality, frame rate, bunch of different options. It really is a full-blown editor. And if you want to edit on the fly, there's no reason why you shouldn't use this. You can save it to the internal storage on the controller and then upload it. You just have to sign into your social media accounts, and you could pretty much just use this controller exclusively without having to use your phone. We're now moving on to the profile menu, and for tip number 7, we're going to look at the device management section. So all you do is press profile, brings you into this area here. We then tap on device management, and you can see all the different drones that I've used in my time. So we're just going to go with something like the Neo, for example. So you can see here, this shows me for the DJI Neo, I've flown for 8.6 kilometers. Flight time is 48 minutes, which I've flown way longer than that, but I haven't synced it all yet. I can go back, I can go into the Air 3S, which has got nothing. Some of this isn't properly synced with this new controller, but here we go, like the Mini 4K, again, 1.17 hours. I've definitely flown more than that, 11.5 kilometers. But this is just really easy at a glance information to know, especially if you're about to sell the drone. People want to know how long you've flown it for. So just make sure that, you know, you go back, go into more, and then from here, there will be a prompt that will come up that says you can sync it, or you can go into the settings and then sync flight data and just make sure it's all on auto. I just haven't done it properly yet. But again, device management, you can see bunch of information here. So look, 119 kilometers with the Mini 3, and that's 13.1 hours. So great information to know if you are about to sell the drone, or if you just want to know how long you've flown it for. And for tip number 8, we're still in the profile menu, but this is the DJI Forum. Very handy information to have. I'm just going to rotate the screen, which is very handy with this new RC Pro 2. So once it loads in, it will take you through to the official forum. So this is very handy if you have any questions, right? If you want to just keep it all in-house on the one device, you can come in here, you can see some tutorials, you can see a bunch of different stuff in here. But you can also then ask questions, right? So you can come in and look for specific products. So we can tap on that. You can see there's a drop down of all the different options. So if we look at the Neo, for example, it will take us through to all the different questions, all the different threads on the forum about the Neo, which might already answer your question, but then you can press the pencil icon and then post a discussion as well. So again, the fact that it's all built into the same interface is very nice, and you don't have to think about it. It's just all there in the profile menu. Tip number 9 is the Find My Drone feature. Now, there are a bunch of different ways to access Find My Drone. This is one of them through the profile menu. I can tap on it and it will show me where I am. It will show me the last video captured, so I can tap on that. And then I can also use other maps if I wanted to. You have to install the app though, and then you can start flashing and beeping. So for me, the aircraft's powered down right now, but if I tap that, the aircraft would start flashing and beeping to let me know roughly where it is if it still had a little bit more power, a little bit more battery in it. But really easy to see, and there are a bunch of other ways to access Find My Drone, but this is just one of them through the profile menu. Tip number 10, and the last tip for the profile menu, is the offline maps. Now this is really handy for devices where you don't want to have to connect up every single time. So for me, I've got my phone connected up via personal hotspot up to the device, but maybe I don't want to do that every time. Maybe that's too much of a pain. So I can come in here and I can zoom out to the point that I'm downloading, for example, that whole area. So that means that the offline map for that area will be available. Really handy if you're going to an area and you know exactly where you're going. You know, you could just punch in a little bit more and just go, hey, I know I'm just going to fly around here. And then you can press the download icon, choose the region, and then it's going to save it offline so you don't have to connect up to your phone again. We're now going to discuss the RC Pro 2. So some of these tips might not be relevant to everyone if you don't have the controller, but if you've got the creator combo and you've got the best of the best, then this controller has some very cool features. So first things first, for tip number 11, I just want to show you the rotating screen feature. So if I rotate the screen on the controller, it will rotate the camera on the drone. So I can go into true vertical mode and back to horizontal mode just by rotating the camera. It's that simple, works flawlessly, and this is so easy to do. You can do this while in the sky as well. You can just go, hey, I want to catch a vertical video now, and you just flip it into vertical mode with ease, and it feels very, very stable. The mechanism for the rotating screen feels solid, and I'm not concerned at all that this is going to age with time. Tip number 12 is the brand new control dial on the RC Pro 2, and it's got a few different functions. So if I start rotating or twisting that dial now, if I start moving that dial, you see it adjusts the EV because I'm in auto mode. Now if I go straight across to the Pro mode, it's going to be completely blown out, the image, as you see. But what I can do is I can adjust multiple parameters now. So ISO, you see I'm adjusting, but straight when I press in the button, it goes to shutter speed now. So I can adjust shutter speed. I can press it again. And so I can even adjust the aperture here just by rotating this dial. Just by spinning this dial, I can go between the different aperture settings that are available. I can press it again and it'll take me back to ISO. Obviously, if I'm in auto, I only have the option for EV. The other option you have though is if I go into play and I just have a look at some of my videos here and photos that I've captured, you can see I can just go between them just by using the dial. If I'm like in this interface, it will then bring up a highlight, so I can just use that. So that means I don't actually have to use the screen. So handy if it's in a really cold environment, you're wearing gloves and it's hard to tap the screen, you can go between all of your different photos and images here nice and easily. I can press in the button to zoom in if I want. I can press it again to zoom out. If I go to the next one, which is a video, I can press and it will start playing that video. Really cool stuff. It really is such an awesome device. Tip number 13 is the 5D button, which we've seen before from previous devices, but this is very handy to have in a drone here. So I'll just show you how to access it. This is something that I'll go into in depth very soon, but it's under control and it's under button customization. And so in here, you can see the 5D button here, and there's a bunch of different options. So I can tap on it, change all the different camera parameters. In other, I can plan waypoint flight or have it as none. And in control, you can go into cruise control, vision assist, follow, recenter, all sorts of stuff in here. Really, really cool feature. So if I just go back to the main menu, for example, I can press left and it will go into focus track if the drone was flying. Right will take me straight into this. So I can literally, without even tapping the screen, I can go into my photos and videos and see, press the back button and go straight back into this menu. If I wanted, really easy without even touching the screen, just right on the 5D button. Then I use that new dial to just go between all the different things I've captured. And then obviously, and because it's 5D, it means you can go left, up, right, down, and then you can press it in. So that's the 5 different actions that you can do. Just means that you have even more customization when we go into control And when we go into button customization, there's just 5 new options that you can access with that button. We're now moving on to the flight menu, which is just this interface here that you can see. You can obviously see me in the video feed. This is what I refer to as the flight menu, because it's the main menu you're going to be seeing and interacting with when you're flying your drone. And for tip number 14, I want to showcase the touchscreen camera controls. So with your finger, you literally press and hold on the screen and drag down or up. So I can press and hold on the screen and drag down, and I can control the camera with the touchscreen input. Really easy stuff to do. Some drones let you go left and right. The Mavic 4 Pro does not, so I can just go up and down. But this is really handy if you wanted to utilize that. You can get some pretty smooth movements with it, and it's simple to do. You just press and hold on the screen and then drag up or down. Tip number 15 is subject focusing, and you can already see it happening on my face, right? So there's a box over my face. It knows that I'm the focus point here. But for example, if I was to turn around, and maybe there's a person over here, right? And I can zoom into them, I can tap on them, and now it creates that subject focusing around that person. So even as I'm moving, you can see they are the focus point. So just ensures that you're getting clarity with your images. Even though I've got them off to the left-hand side, they are the focus point here. And you can do this with all sorts of things. So if I look up a little bit, maybe I tap on the boat in the distance, you can see it's now got that in the subject focusing mode. Even if I increase altitude and angle down the camera, that is the point I'm focusing on because that's what I've tapped on. And so you see it does a really great job. I can then rotate to another boat over here, tap on that one, and again, that's now the subject focus point. So again, really easy to use, not spoken about enough, but I do love subject focusing. It does a great job. Let's have a look now at the flight checklist, which is tip number 16. Now in the top left corner, just on the right-hand side of where it says N mode, you can see it says in flight. So if I tap on that, it will bring up this menu here. And so this is the pre-flight checklist, basically. You don't have too much control in here, but this is where you want to come if there are any error messages. It will just break down all the errors that are going on, and it will also just give you some more details. So you can adjust the return to home altitude, the max altitude, max distance, and also format your SD card or internal storage from here. Really easy to do, but what I would suggest is just coming in here if there are any error messages. You would see the error up here, but straight when you tap on it, it would give you some more detail. Tip number 17 is waypoints. So off to the left-hand side, there is a little icon. That is the waypoint icon. I can tap on that, and now what I can do is I can actually fly to each point. So you see there it says press C1 button to add waypoint. So I can press C1, that adds a waypoint. I can keep flying, get into a different, maybe I want to turn this way, press it again. I can then angle back this way, you know, press it again, and it's going to have different parameters when I tap on it. So there's so much in here. It really is a whole video in itself, but there's a lot of different controls, as you can see. You can adjust what it does at each point. So whether it takes a photo, starts recording, stops recording, the altitude as well, which you can adjust, the global speed, all sorts of stuff in here. And you can also just go into the map as well. And you can see this is the waypoint that I've created. But from here, I can also tap to add more waypoints. I can then click on point of interest and then make a particular point a point of interest if I really wanted. So we're going to make that one there, which is actually number 2. So we just need to delete number 1. There we go. So now that's our point of interest. And so what I can do is I could go back to number 1 and I could make it so the heading is for the face point of interest. Say yes, and then apply to all. So it creates the global settings for all of them. And now you can see all waypoints are now pointing towards point 1. And then if I come back in here, from here I can then press next and go, and it's immediately going to start that waypoint mode for me. So really easy to do. You saw I did a quick job there, but there's a lot of customization here, and it's quite a powerful piece of software. So it's now starting at waypoint 1. It is just using the 1x camera. I don't believe I can, I can adjust it mid-flight, which is kind of cool. It's a little weird because of how it's angled. So let's just go back to the main camera system. So again, you can see point of interest here. I've screwed up because it's so yeah, so that's how you customize waypoints. You can see it's got a basic overlay here, tells you how many meters it's traveled, what waypoint it's at, and how long it's taking. Really easy stuff to do, and if you customize it and really tune it in, you're going to get some awesome results. Let's now look at FocusTrack, which is tip number 18. Now there's a few ways you can access this. So there's a full standalone FocusTrack mode, which is just below the waypoint button. So if I tap on that, it will now start bringing up all the pluses, all the different things that I can start tracking, and amazing what it can do. You can see how many different points it's recognizing that it can track, and all I have to do is just tap on one of the pluses, and it recognizes that's a car. I can go into Spotlight, I can go into Active Track, or I can go into Point of Interest, right? So a lot of different options here. The drone's actually starting to fly a little bit closer. But from here, you know, I can cancel it with the X and then go back in. And you can see you can choose so many different points here. It really is quite impressive. If I zoom right into myself here, you'll see that even I will be a point that I can track. So now I can start flying back on an angle, and it's going to keep me as that main focus point. Really easy to use, but if there's something else maybe that you want to track and it's not recognizing it, you can disable that feature. And then from here, all I have to do is just press and hold on the screen and drag. Let's say, for example, I just want to track this building here and it didn't come up as a focus tracking option. All I have to do is basically just draw a box. So I just draw the box around. As you can see, I got full customization, and all I had to do was just intuitively press on the screen and drag to create that box. And now it's created a new focus track point for that building there. So it makes it nice and easy for me to still get those shots I want, even though that building didn't come up as a focus track option. Tip number 19 is the map, which is in the bottom left corner. So if I tap on the map, it will bring up a larger map. If I tap on it again, it will bring up an even larger map. And so this is where you can see a breakdown of like the different areas that you have around you, especially if you have that offline map. Obviously the whole area is going to be loaded in like it is for me. And from here, you know, you have some options through this interface here. But I find that I'd pretty much just use it if I want to see the flight paths that I've gone on, potentially. Like you can see all the different paths I've gone on here, where the drone is in relation to me, what way the drone's facing. That kind of stuff's really handy. You can tap on to the aircraft to see for APAS, to see, you know, what it's actually going to notify you of. So I've got medium and high collision risk, but you can also enable it for low as well. And yeah, there's a few options in here. It's a really easy interface to navigate. Tip number 20 is the attitude indicator compass. Now, people always question me saying, are you sure it's not altitude? It's referred to as the attitude indicator compass. And so to access this, you can actually just use a swiping gesture. So you can swipe to the left where the map icon is. So I can just swipe left or swipe right to take me between the map and the attitude compass. And now keep in mind, there is another icon in the bottom right that you can tap on to go between the different modes here, but swiping I find just a little bit easier. And so the attitude indicator compass, you'll see as I start to fly, like I'm flying forward now, and you can see the resistance on the drone. So as I'm turning, you can see how much the drone is banking in the bottom left corner there. You can see where the home point is in relation to the drone. And as I start facing it, you'll see it goes green. So see that little tip at the end of H, how it goes green. If I face away, it will go blue, meaning I'm actually not facing the controller. But if I turn, there we go. Now it's turning green, see that? Really easy stuff. And there's a few options in here. I can tap in the top left of the indicator to adjust the reference point, or to adjust where I'm viewing from. So right now I'm viewing from the home point. So as I adjust the controller, as I turn left and right with the controller, you'll see it actually accounts to those movements. So really easy stuff to see. You get the compass element, but you also get to see what kind of resistance the drone is experiencing with wind. You can see, you know, what it's actually doing basically. So as I'm turning left, you can see how it's banking. Really cool stuff. For tip number 21, let's have a look at the vision assist option. Now, again, bottom left corner, all you got to do is swipe across to the left. And now we've actually got the full camera interface here. So I can see all directions, what's happening with the drone. I can even look down, so I can see what's below me, to the left, behind, up, or in front, sorry, and to the right. And so I can have that just as an option. So even if, for example, let's say I'm just using this main interface here, I still can have that camera feed there. So maybe I just want it to be facing down. So now that means that I know exactly what is below me. If I'm trying to fly in an area and I want to know what kind of interference might be in the way, I can literally just enable that downward sensor just to see what's happening below me. Maybe off to the left, I'm worried about some buildings. So yeah, really cool stuff that you can just enable that and have that as just an overlay in the bottom left corner. Tip number 22 is the Pro mode, which I showed you a little earlier on, but in the bottom right corner, tap on auto and it'll take you into Pro mode. Now, if I tap on those text icons, those little text boxes down the bottom right, it does bring up a whole new interface that you don't get in the auto mode. So what I can see here is ISO, shutter, aperture, and then I can also go across to the other parameters, and I can adjust all sorts of things here. So I can really customize, white balance. I can play with the resolution and frames per second. I can adjust the color, the video codec. I could go into the new codec here, the all-eye codec if I wanted. Yeah, lots of options in here. I can see storage as well, and it is so easy to navigate between. I find the Pro mode is definitely the one to go with if you want to get more out of your drone, and yeah, nice and easy to access just from the bottom right corner. And then it brings up a whole new interface. Tip number 23 is the autofocus and manual focus mode. So just below where all the zoom icons are, you can see it says AF. So if I tap on that, it will take me into manual focus. Tap on it again, it will take me back to autofocus. But if I press and hold on it, it brings up this new interface here, so I can really customize that focus point. If I really wanted something in the foreground to be in focus, obviously you'd need to frame the drone so you're nice and close to something, and then you'd want to drag that manual focus so the foreground's in focus, the background is blurry. I find most of the time with these kind of drone cameras, they've kind of got like an infinity focus anyway, so you're pretty safe going in auto mode, and especially the fact that I can tap on something and then make that a subject focus point is a little bit more efficient in my eyes. But if you want to, you can press and hold, and you can go between different focus points here just to get a little bit more out of that focus. Tip number 24 is the digital zoom. So you can see off to the right hand side, just above where it says AF, we've got 1 times, 2.5 times, and then we've got 6 times. So they're the 3 different camera systems that we're using. But did you know that you can get even more zoom out of them with the digital zoom option? So let's say we're in 6 times. We're looking into the distance here at these properties. Oh, let's have a look at, that looks like Brisbane CBD, right? So let's have a look at it right now. If I press and hold where it says 6 times, I get the same or similar interface to that autofocus interface. It'll tell me the equivalent. So when we go to 12 times, 336 millimeter equivalent, I can go all the way up to 24 times. That is 672 equivalent. 672 millimeter equivalent. You can see it's a little blurry, a little out of focus, but again, that's Brisbane CBD. If I press 1 times, that's how far I am away from it. So really cool stuff. And you can even do it with the 1 times. You can press and hold. That only goes up to 2.5 times before it transitions into the 2.5 times camera. And then from there, you can go up to 6 times, and then it transitions to the 6 times camera. And then in the 6 times camera, you can transition and go to 24 times. So if I tap on the boat here, you can see you can even use subject focusing with that, which is crazy to see. But a lot of people probably aren't going to use 24 times. Great to scout out an area and see what's going on, but otherwise I would suggest sticking to something a little bit more modest. I did talk about the new controller and how you can rotate the screen just to actually customize the orientation of the camera into portrait mode or landscape mode. But above where those zoom options are, there is a button as well. So you can tap on that, and that will also change it as well. So this is mid-flight, as you can see, and I can just tap on that, and it's just going to go from portrait to landscape. Tip number 26 is the different shooting modes. So off to the right-hand side, just above the record button, this is all of the different shooting modes, right? So I can go into normal, I can go into explore, which is actually a really cool mode. It allows you to go fully into all the different cameras without having to swap between them. You can just jump between them. And the clarity I find in this mode is actually quite usable a lot of the time. So explore mode is cool, a little underrated. You got slow motion as well. You got master shots, photos, quick shots, hyperlapse, pano. And within master shots, we've got that quick shots. We've got that new rotate mode, which is the new mode to accompany the infinity gimbal. So that's basically how you access it off to the right-hand side, and really easy to navigate between. Tip number 27 is the quick access icon. So in the top right corner, you can see I've got a percentage, 55%. So that's my battery life. If I tap on that, it will actually bring up more information. So it will tell me how many minutes and seconds until return to home, how long until a forced landing, and how long until the battery is completely depleted. Really handy to know. You can then click on RC, and that will tell you the signal strength of the remote controller. This red icon here is actually the obstacle avoidance. So it tells me that everything is unavailable right now. if I was to come in and I was to add bypass, you would now see that that is enabled. So the normal sensing mode, if I go across to sports mode, it will disable everything, even with bypass on. So that's how you can see what the obstacle avoidance is doing. And then you can tap on the satellites here and see how many satellites you got connected and what the signal is like. If you are interested in picking yourself up the Mavic 4 Pro or any other drone for that matter, make sure to check the links down in the description below. I've actually helped Aussie save over $70,000 on their drone, camera, and accessory purchases. So you can always reach out to the D1 store. That's sales@d1store.com.au. Mention DansTube and they'll be able to help you out with the best deal they can. You can also use the code DansTube on their website to save on most drones, cameras, and accessories. And for my international viewers, make sure to check the other links down below. There are a bunch of savings to be had down there. We're now moving on to the safety menu. So in the top right corner, there are 3 dots. Tap on that and it will take you straight through to the safety menu. And for tip number 28, I want to showcase the obstacle avoidance. I just turned it on before into the bypass mode, but you can turn it completely off, meaning that it will crash. So you got to be careful. You can put it into brake. So that means if it senses an obstacle, it will brake and stop. Or you can put it into bypass mode, which as the name suggests and as the image suggests, it will bypass an obstacle and continue flying, which is really cool to see. There's a few modes in there, so you can go with normal and nifty. It gives you a warning if you go into the nifty mode, but I find normal does a great job. I've got a full video on the channel showcasing the Mavic 4 Pro's obstacle avoidance, and it did a phenomenal job. So that's how you access it, and really easy to change between the modes as well. Tip number 29 is the return to home feature. So if we scroll down a little bit, you'll see there's a few options here. We've got return to home, advanced return to home, which is optimal or preset. Now optimal is the one that I go with. I make my return to home altitude anywhere from 80 meters to 100 meters, just so that it clears any buildings and trees, but also it should be avoiding those. So if I just go out now and I press return to home, it will actually give me a path. See how it's got that augmented reality path? So it will let me know the path it's going on before it returns to me. And this is really impressive stuff. Even in quite like tight quarters, it can still avoid obstacles and return to home on that optical or optimal path. So that's really cool to see in action, and I've been impressed with it. Tip number 30 is the AR settings. So I just showed you one of them, but if you tap on AR settings, there's a few. So you've got the show AR home point, you've got the show AR return to home, and you've got the show AR aircraft shadow. So the first one we can see, if I just press the 1 times, is you'll see that home point right there. So it lets me know where the home point is. If I press and hold return to home, it will then show me that path, which you saw before, and it will avoid obstacles as it's doing this, which is really cool to see. And then when it comes in nice and close, it will then actually showcase like an image of the aircraft. So as it's coming in, you'll see it will come in. And then from there, I can look down, for example, and I can see the aircraft right there. You can see that little image of an aircraft blacked out, just so you know roughly where the aircraft is going to land. Tip number 31 is just a little bit lower. And so this is where you have the option to control what the drone does when you fold it and unfold it. So unfolding the arms to power them on, and also folding the arms to power off. So you have that option. If I really wanted to do that, I could enable that, and that means that it will give me a countdown once I've folded all the arms, and the drone will start to power down. I'm gonna leave that one off for now. I really love the unfolding to power on feature, but this is how you can customize it through the settings. Tip number 32 is the battery information. So just a little bit below there, you can see battery info, and this is where you can see some basic information, right? So you can see the voltage, you can see the temperature, you can see the different cells, and great to come in here if you're having any issues with battery life or performance or whatever it may be, any sort of abnormalities, come in here and it will show you some more information about the battery. Tip number 33 is the LED settings. So there's a few options in here. We can adjust the auxiliary LED. So it's on auto right now, so when it picks up that it's too dark, the light will come on underneath, but I can just have it on by default, so it's always going to be on, or I could have it completely off if I don't want that. Auto makes the most sense. I find that it's very responsive to light conditions. And then also this is a cool one. So aircraft LEDs, if you put that on auto, it means that it will turn it on while you're capturing. So the lights on the aircraft will be powered off while you're capturing footage. Really, really cool stuff. If you have any issues, if you're flying near something, let's say like near a building and you've got permission, or near whatever, you might notice a bit of that light coming back, right, through the video, because the lights are flashing and then it might be bouncing off glass or whatever it may be. So you can put that in auto, so straight when you start recording, it will turn off those lights. So in auto mode, aircraft LEDs will be turned off while capturing for better results. Tip number 34 is the Find My Drone feature. So I mentioned earlier that there are other spots you can find it. So here's one here. I can just tap on Find My Drone. It will take me through to the same interface here. I can press the start flashing and beeping. The aircraft's in flight, so that won't work. But this is how I can see the last point of call where I recorded that last shot, where I am roughly in relation to the drone, where we lost the signal, and then obviously you can start flashing and beeping just to find out exactly where it is. Tip number 35, and the last tip for the safety menu, is right at the bottom here. You got advanced safety settings. So in here, if the signal is lost, you can choose what you want it to do. I would recommend return to home. That makes the most sense. But then this is where you can also disable vision positioning and obstacle sensing. So this means that you can get the drone even lower to the ground to get some very, very unique shots here. So that's one you need to be careful of. It gives you a warning, but very cool if you want to get some unique shot. And then you can also turn on and off air sense. So I would just, again, suggest leaving these two on, but this is how you customize it and change them, is through the advanced safety settings. We're now moving to the control menu, which is on the right-hand side of the safety menu. And there are a bunch of different features in this one. So for tip number 36, this is one of the more powerful settings to play around with. It's called the Gain and Expo tuning, which might not mean anything to you if you've never flown a drone before, but this is where you can customize everything, how the drone handles, how the gimbal and camera handles. You've got so many options in here. It breaks it down into the 3 different modes. So you can go normal, cine, and sport. And as you go down, it shows you the curve of how the response of the drone is going to happen with the Expo. You've got gimbal, so you've got max control speed, smoothness, all sorts of stuff. So right now, by default, as you can see off to the left-hand side, that's the speed that I can move the gimbal. But let's say, for example, I put that up to 100%. Now you can see it's instant. And then on top of that, I can change the smoothness. So now when I let go, let me just tell you, when I let go. So there's a trail, so there's a smoothness to it, so you don't get any awkward movements. You can come in here, the adaptive camera motion or the fixed motion. You can adjust the smoothness of all sorts of movements in here. Really powerful stuff. And I would suggest playing around with it, because at the bottom, you can just reset back to the factory settings and it will take me back to that previous mode I was in, where I could just get that slow movement. So you can play around with it. Like I said, for all 3 modes, I would suggest coming in here and really tuning it to your liking. Tip number 37 is the FocusTrack Settings. So if you tap on it, it will bring up a few options. You've got person and you've got vehicle. So in person, you can see there's the outer circle and the inner circle. I can choose the inner radius and outer radius. I can adjust the height, either the inner or the outer height, camera motion, near ground flight, all sorts of stuff in here. You can really customize this for that FocusTrack experience. And same thing for the vehicle as well. You have some customization here, which is great to see, because I know other drones with FocusTrack didn't have as much customization with vehicle, but we're getting a lot in here. So same kind of thing. You can really adjust the height, the radius. If you want near ground flight as well, you can play with all of that. Really powerful stuff here. I would suggest coming in here and just testing it out and seeing what you're wanting. Tip number 38 is the FPV mode. So we're in follow mode right now, where you can see gimbal mode. So this is what that looks like. So I can just look left and right. I can fly all around, and it's nice and stable. But straight when I go into FPV mode, you'll see now when I start turning, it's going to give me a little bit of that lean. So it's going to give me a little bit more of an FPV look. Obviously quite sickening the way I've got it zoomed in right now, but it gives you more control to just create some different perspectives. And yeah, great option to have, especially if you want to create something a little bit more unique. Maybe you're over that normal feel and you want something a bit more unique. FPV mode does an awesome job here. Tip number 39 is the tilt angle expansion in portrait. Quite a long name, but you can enable or disable this. So when enabled and aircraft is capturing in portrait mode, tilt angle range is larger. So if I disable that and rotate, you can see that it works pretty fine. No real issues. Sometimes I found that if I went into this, so this is just the tilt angle, so it just gives me a little bit more of a tilt angle from what they're saying. But if you're flying too fast, I find if you're in sports mode, it can make it a little bit unusable at times. It seems to be quite fine actually, which is nice to see. Okay, seems to be fixed. Maybe a software update fixed that. But yeah, I would suggest just going with the tilt angle expansion in portrait. It just gives you a little bit more tilt angle range, basically. Tip number 40, and the last tip for the control menu, but one of the best tips, is button customization. So in here, there is a lot that you can do. So you've got the C1 and the C2 button. This is on the RC Pro 2. We've got the 5D button. So we've got 5 different functions. The right dial, so that can be used for zoom, which you can see off to the left there. The left dial, which does the tilt. And then if I do C1 and right dial, I can get that rotation as well. But let's say, for example, I come in here, maybe I just want that, right? So maybe I want the right dial just to be the gimbal roll. So now that means that my right dial is just the gimbal roll. Makes it a lot easier. I can reset back here. Obviously I can go with the 1x. And see, it makes it a little easier in there, but you can really just play around with this. I personally like to have the zoom for this one. There it is. So you can hold C1 plus right dial, you can hold C2 and right dial, and then you've got all these options here for the 5D button. So all sorts of stuff, as you can see, all the different camera options, there's other options, and there's also the control options. And this is where you find cruise control, which is a really great feature actually. So if I go with this, let's say for example, I start flying forward, and then I press down on the 5D button, it's now in cruise control. So I don't have to touch the controller, it's just going to continue. And I can press down again to disable it, and the drone will just come to a stop. We're now moving on to the camera menu, which is on the right-hand side of the control menu. And again, a bunch of new features in here on the Mavic 4 Pro. So looking at tip number 41, we have got the color mode here. So you can see I'm in normal right now, but I've got D-Log, which opens up a few other options. You can see I've got color display assist. So if I tap that, it will make it a little bit more of a natural, realistic kind of shot, so I can almost plan ahead when I'm doing the color grading. If I turn that off, you can see it's a very flat profile, which a lot of people are used to that as well. You can go into D-Log M, and you can also go into HLG. Really easy to play around with this. You can turn on and off the color display assist and the color display assist in playback. So you've got a few options there once you go into those modes. And with normal, it just condenses it down and simplifies it. Tip number 42 is the brand new video codec, which is the all-eye codec. Really simple to enable. You can see it's available on all of the different color modes. And as I change between them, it just keeps that as the default mode as long as I've selected it. So that's how you can do that. Really simple to do. You can also come back here, and in the Pro mode, you can then tap on it and go across as well through the settings here. So you've got a few options of how you can control that, but this is how you can control it through the camera menu. Tip number 43 is how you can record audio from the controller itself or from an external microphone system. So I've got a whole video on the channel. Make sure to check that out. That will probably pop up on the screen right now. But the thing you want to enable is called app recording. So for me, by default, it was turned off. Straight when I turn it on, you will now see when I press record, it will now pop up with that microphone. So there's a microphone just below the record button as I'm talking. It's picking it up from that inbuilt mic on the controller, but I can also plug in the Mic Mini and the Mic 2, and then I can utilize the audio from that as well. So really, really handy stuff for someone like me who does a lot of tutorial content. I've got a whole video on the channel dedicated to that, so make sure to check that out. Tip number 44 is the histogram, and I always show this one in my tips and settings video. There it is right there, comes up on the screen. You can't make it bigger, so I wish that you could zoom in. I can zoom in on the screen to zoom, which is cool. So the histogram is movable. You can't zoom in and make it any bigger, but it is movable, so you can move it off to the side. And this is how you can see, what the image is that you're getting out of the drone. So right now it's got a pretty natural kind of bell curve here, so it should be pretty good. But if I start adjusting the EV, you'll see it's getting more and more overexposed. So the graph's going off to the right-hand side. If I go to the left-hand side, it's now underexposed, so it's going to the left-hand side. So if I'm at 0, theoretically in auto mode, it should be fine, which is looking good. But this is how you can just see that information through the histogram. Tip number 45 is the peaking level. So I've got it off at the moment, but if I go to high, I now come back into here. What this is to do with is the manual focus mode. So you can see straight when I press and hold and I start to drag, you can see I'm getting that focus point right in front of the drone, right where the grass is, and then I can push it back and I can push it to the building in the distance, right? So that's how you really get the most out of the manual focus mode, is utilizing these two together. The manual focus mode alongside that peaking assist. Tip number 46 is the overexposure warning. So just below the peaking level, if I turn that on, we will now get an overexposure warning. So if I adjust the EV again, right, that's saying that there's no overexposure there, but obviously the shot looks way too dark. So 0 is pretty good, but it's saying that there's a bit of overexposure. I notice if there's clouds, it will say it's overexposed. But if I push it a bit more, you can see this is what it looks like when it's way too overexposed. It just lets you know that it's too much, right? So again, really easy at a glance information. You might not want to use that one all the time, but it can be handy as well. Tip number 47 is the grid lines. So here are the grid lines here. I've got the rule of thirds on. I'm just going to turn off overexposure, but I can also add this diagonal one and a pinpoint in the middle. So now I've got a lot going on, as you can see. There's a lot on my display, but you can adjust that. You can turn them all off. You've just got a really clean, minimal display. I like the rule of thirds to be on, but that's how you can adjust it if you want just a little bit more with the grid lines. Tip number 48 is the frame guide. So we're in the same area, just scroll down just a little bit more. And this is where you can actually get a guide, right? It's a guide, so it doesn't capture in this perspective or in this resolution, this orientation. But let's say we go 1 to 1, which was quite common on Instagram. That's what it looks like. So it's still going to capture everything, even in the grayed out areas. It's going to capture everything, but it just gives you a guide so that you can frame everything, and that's why it's called a frame guide. And the other option as well, which would make a lot of sense, is the vertical option, so the 9:16. This means that it captures everything, but then you get that frame point of, you know, what it's going to look like in that portrait mode. So really handy. I would recommend using that one quite a lot. Tip number 49 is some more customization here. So you can customize the white balance if you want. It's on auto, but if you tap on style, it gives you some options here. So you can customize the sharpness down to -2 or up to +2, and you can adjust the noise reduction to +1 down to -2. So this is handy because some people don't like how certain cameras will process information. If you really want to reduce noise reduction and then maybe tweak it in post-production, that is an option. You can go to -2, and then on your own, you can then tweak that if you don't like the image for whatever reason. So you got some basic control there in the style options. And tip number 50, which is the last one in the camera menu, is the storage. So as we scroll down, we can see storage. I've got no SD card in there, but all I'd have to do is tap on SD to swap it across, tap back on internal storage to swap across, and then I've got the format option right there, so I can format the internal storage or the SD card. Really simple to do. If you're still wanting more after this video, then make sure to check out my drone course. It's called the Fearless Drone Academy, packed with tips, insights, guidance, resources, all sorts of wonderful stuff. So make sure to go over to fearlessdrone.academy and use the code DansTube over there to save on your purchase. We're now moving on to the transmission menu, which is on the right-hand side of the camera menu. This looks quite similar to previous DJI drones, but there are a few new features here. Tip number 51 is the live streaming feature. So I can tap on that, go into RTMP, and then from here I can set it all up with the stream key, the address, the resolution. You can see it goes up to 720p and then the bit rate as well. So there are apparently some other workarounds that you can utilize with this new controller, but this is what I can see straight out of the box as the main option, which is RTMP, which we've seen many times from DJI drones in the past. Tip number 52 is the HDMI output. So you have two options here. You can screen mirror, so that means it's going to mirror everything on the screen, or you can just go with live view, so that means that it's just going to show what the camera is seeing. So screen mirroring makes a lot of sense if you're doing like a workshop or a tutorial or whatever it may be, online or in person, and live view is more if you just want to showcase exactly what the drone's seeing. So screen mirroring is something I'm okay with because I want to showcase a lot of the interface when I do HDMI output in the future. Tip number 53 is how you can view the interference. So as I scroll down, there's this graph here, and this will show me the interference in the area. It's on dual band and it's on auto, so it means it is going to adjust and it is going to try to find the best signal possible, but you can see not a huge amount of interference here, so it's a great spot to fly. And then for tip number 54, this is how you change the channel. So this is the channel mode here. If I click on manual, I now have control to press and drag to move that around, so I can adjust exactly where I want it to go. I could go in 2.4 gigahertz, which is going to be a bit more intense, I would imagine. Oh, it's not too bad, but I can then drag and move that if I wanted to. I wouldn't recommend doing this in most scenarios, to be honest with you. Auto and dual band is the one to go with. It's just going to figure it out for you. You can see, you know, how much more is available here in this dual band, and also there's limited interference because it's constantly keeping that in mind. So that's just how you can adjust it if you find that you're getting terrible range and you really want to get some more range out of it. It could be like dependent on the location you're in, and maybe you want to, you know, try that, but yeah, just something to keep in mind. So we're now going to move on to the About menu, which is in the top right corner. This is the final menu here. And for tip number 55, this is how you check for updates. So it literally says it in blue. You press on it and it will start checking for updates. So I know that there's an update for the drone, so it should pop up with something and give me the prompt to do it. There we go. So this is how you manually check. And then I can also check for updates here with the FlySafe data. Everything's up to date there, but that's how you do it manually, just through the About menu. Tip number 56 is how you reset all settings. So if I tap on that, it will reset everything to default. So if you've really played around with all those gain and expo and FocusTrack settings and all sorts of stuff, and you're going, I can't even remember what the default was, that's where you want to go. Reset all the settings and set it back to factory. And for the final tip, tip number 57, this is how you clear all data. Very handy if you're about to sell the drone, or if you just want a fresh install of all that data. You tap on it and it tells you exactly what it does. It removes all that right there, unlocking licenses, aircraft logs, other user data, and the data on the internal storage and in SD. So yeah, that's something I would recommend going in if you ever need to sell the drone. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been a huge comprehensive video, 57 tips and settings for the Mavic 4 Pro. I hope you gained a lot from this video. I appreciate all the support, and I'll chat to you in the next one. Peace.